Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United... I was just checking the audio was on. This is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss why the Amorim era is beginning and is here to stay. Lots of encouraging stories coming from the training ground. Bruno Fernandes is apparently teaching Cunha on how to control his passion on the pitch and guide him at Manchester United. There's other little link-ups going on as well. Encouraging stuff coming from the training ground and encouraging stuff on why this should be the start of a new Manchester United and why also we should not be looking at what happened last season and we should be looking at what's happening this season. Because if you believe that this season is really the start of Amorim's era, then our Premier League win ratio is 56%. Something to think about, isn't it? We'll delve into that. It's an evening show as well. Last night was brilliant. Can you match it again? Some brilliant questions coming in. Chuck them in. Also, I do want to delve in a little bit, if we've got time, into the AFCON and just talk about the actual games that our players are going to miss and how that might impact us, because this story is still circulating that Manchester United will not let Xerxes and Mainu go because they plan to use them then. Will that work? I don't know. We'll talk about that as well. So get ready to rumble. We're going to delve right into this. Can eras change? Eras do change, according to Ten Hag. Are we heading into an Amorim Manchester United era? Or is there a limitation to what any manager can do at Manchester United based on the fact that Mourinho didn't do too bad, Oli didn't do too bad? Can Amorim even replicate that? Second place. We'll talk about that. But before we get into all of this, do not forget, we are sponsored by Manscaped on the show tonight. The link is in the description. You can scan the QR code next to me throughout the show. What is Manscaped? Well, it's precision engineering for your family jewels. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Yes, this is the Lawn Mower 5.0 White Hot Edition. It's brand new out, and you can get it delivered to your door with 20% off with the code TUS20. Absolutely fantastic bit of kit. Trusted by millions of men worldwide. Well, maybe not this because it's brand new, but their Lawnmower 5.0 is. They also do stuff, the hedge trimmer for your face, the weed whacker for up your nose. Loads of stuff you can get delivered to your door. Fantastic products with Manscaped and waterproof as well. So do check that out. The White Hot Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Edition could be heading straight to your door in a package like this, and it's a real game changer. White Hot looks, smooth results, and the White Hot 5.0 brings the heat without cooking your skin. I nearly said without cooking your penis. That would have been horrendous. But ultimately, I suppose that is the skin that is down there. And let's be honest. Can we be honest for once? The Manscaped is for down there. Why can't we say penis? You know, that's what it's there to do. Trim around that. Come on, it's 2025, people. I've said it 3 times. Yeah, anyway, the code is TUS20. The link is in the description. Scan the QR code. Trim the grass to... make the grass look bigger. Fantastic product. Stay cool, stay smooth. And your balls and everyone else will thank you. Thank you very much to Manscaped. That was a cough sneeze. Bit dusty in here today. Anyway, right. Thank you very much to Manscaped. Let's get into the show. Probably missed this, but is Terry still presenting on the United Stand? You definitely missed it, John, you troublemaker. He does Friday nights. Tried to do a whole show without saying basically, says Chris. Well, I failed. You've just made me say it. So that was, yeah, irrelevant. Anyway, let's talk about I want to talk about this this we're back, this Amorim era stuff, because I actually do think that we hit on something towards the end of the show this morning that I wanted to get into more depth in here and open it up to you lot. I genuinely think, and it's just my opinion, we should bin off last season. I'm tired of, if we lose to Spurs or Forest or Palace, people will go, his win ratio is still below 40%. I really do think that his era begins at the start of this season. And if it does, his win ratio is 56%. And if you include the Carabao Cup loss, we've played 10 games, he's won 5, his win ratio is 50%. That's a good win ratio. But what drags Amorim down is last season. This season, in the Premier League, his win ratio is 56%. Jose Mourinho, I think, topped out at about 59%. So he's doing very well. He's doing very well this season. Can we not just leave last season behind? Why do we have to bring last season into the conversation? That's what my confusion is, because he didn't have a goalkeeper last season and he didn't have Cunha and Mbeumo last season. And those 3 signings, and he didn't have Sesko last season either. He still doesn't have a midfielder now. But I just think last season is just such a reason for people to drag us down when actually I just don't think it holds any relevance. I mean, I hated the Europa League final. It was a coward performance. But I don't hold that against the players who played in that final who were playing and winning at Anfield, because you have to move on and try and trust them again. And I don't know why Amorim should be held by that as well, with these win ratio conversations and, you know, we're only 1 loss away from it all coming back again. I think when you look at this season, too many people came into it carrying baggage from last year. And yet all I heard last year was that he needs a pre-season and he needs his own players. Well, he's had a pre-season, he's had his own players, so surely the start of this season is the real start of the Amorim era, in which case his win ratio is around 50%. But we have to keep dragging back to there. And I think as well, when we're talking about whether this is sustainable and how long it can last, eras do come to an end. And if you'd have asked me in the summer whether this Manchester United side can get back amongst it, I'd have said it's very, very difficult. You know, no matter how good Amorim is, they basically need another Sir Alex Ferguson who can build a football club up from the ashes and sustainably build it from top to bottom and keep it there. And Sir Alex Ferguson was backed relentlessly with money as well in the 80s and the 90s to get us back. There was a lot of players brought in because he needed that. I don't know that Amorim will ever really get that full backing year on year because we haven't experienced that yet. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but that's what he's going to need. But eras do come to an end, and I would have thought at the start of the season, if you'd said to me, can Man United get back amongst it in the next 3 years? I would have said, Chelsea are a young team and they're going to get better. Arsenal are an established team and they've just got stronger. Liverpool are the best team in the league and they've spent a lot of money. And Man City have got Pep and they're building again. So, all right, maybe 1, maybe 2 of them drop off, but not all 4. So no, I can't see Man United getting back in the next 3 years. But then in the first 10 games of the season, I look at it and I go, well, right here, right now, Chelsea look a bit of a mess, an inconsistent mess. Liverpool look very beatable by everybody, even though they're the best team in England, the champions, and they've spent a lot of money. Man City look very Haaland-centric, and Rodri, who's not even fit. And Arsenal look very, very good. So why can't Man United get back amongst it? Things change really quickly. And I think if football was predictable, it would be very boring. So the way I look at it at the moment is that, yeah, look, I think Man United can get back amongst it. They've got to keep winning. 2 losses and we're back down where we were. But I think we can be back amongst it. But my long-term vision for Manchester United is still one where I think you'll find it very, very difficult, because is 2nd or 3rd place actually good enough, or is that just a massive improvement from where we've been in recent years, like 15th and 8th? I still think that any manager... Look, I can't sit here and say, even based on this season, I can't sit here and say Amorim's the best manager we've had since Sir Alex. I think Jose Mourinho took that mantle very, very quickly. You could argue that Ten Hag and Solskjaer are still ahead of Amorim based... Well, you'd have to. Solskjaer took us to a Europa League final in 2nd place. Ten Hag won back-to-back trophies, took us into the top 4. Mourinho won us 2 trophies and took us to 2nd place. So Amorim's still got a lot of work to do. You know, the Amorim era, what is the era? But it feels like it can be the start of something. I still think it will be limited by the people above him. I wouldn't sit here in front of you all and say this is the start of something that leads to Man United back winning trophies like we did under Sir Alex. I think Amorim will, no matter how good he is, need huge support to go to the levels of consistently winning titles or challenging for titles, whether that be a Premier League or a Champions League. But I do feel like that it can be the start of something. When people say, will it last? It depends what it depends what your standards are. I mean, I just want to see Manchester United consistently year in, year out in the top 4 challenging for titles. That's going to need sustainable backing, but that's what being backed to me is. And we've got to build upon this start. But I'd be interested to know what you think, but I genuinely think there is a case to say we need to stop looking at the stats and the win ratio from before the season, because is there not a level of hypocrisy to go, well, He didn't have a goalkeeper. He didn't have a striker. He didn't have Mbeumo and Cunha, and he didn't have a midfielder. And now he has got 4 of those 5 things. Look at what's happening. We're a better team for it. But obviously, I don't really understand why last season's part of the conversation anyway. I mean, I was very much in the camp of Amorim in, survive to the summer, have a pre-season, get some signings in. So I basically left everything from last season behind anyway. My issue with this season was team selection, Man City and Brentford losses, coming into the season with Onana. My frustrations with United are mainly based on this season, not last. But we still, it's an annoyance last season because he lost a lot of games. But I think we have to look at it this season, and I'm very much a champion of going, when you look at the Premier League, the only win ratio that matters is the win ratio from when he got his goalkeeper and from when he got his, Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko. And in that case, he's got a win ratio of over 50% in the Premier League, which is good. There we go. I'm mostly holding last season on the owners, says Andy F. And Emily Derry says, for a sustainable period of success, the changes must be more than skin deep. I think last season allowed Amorim to start with some deep changes like culture and teamwork, but more is needed. Does that mean your stance on Amorim has changed, says Abdul? I mean, I don't know who you are, Abdul. I don't know whether you're stupid, a rage baiter, or just uneducated, but my stance on Amorim has never changed. So I don't know how I changed my stance on Amorim. Rohin says, both things can be true. His era starts now, but the scars of last season still do impact how we play. Forest will be a different test than Liverpool and Brighton, says Rohan. I tell you what, the Forest game on Saturday is really interesting. I saw that clip from the overlap in May has resurfaced again when Dyche was out of work, and he basically said that he was talking about Man United and Amorim, and he basically said, if I went into that club now, I'd get better results than him. So I mean, I'm not saying that adds a little bit of a grudge match, because I think some people would say he's probably right, because he would have played a 4-4-2, direct football, not worry about possession. I mean, in some ways, are we not doing that a little bit at the moment anyway? So, look, I don't mind Sean Dyche, but I do take on board that the excitement of the win on Saturday, because I believe it will be a win. I'm very, I don't normally say that, but I'm very confident we're going to win on Saturday because we're better than Forest, and they're in the bottom 3 and they're not playing very well, and Bournemouth dealt with them very, very comfortably on the weekend. I think when we do win that game, it's not just winning 3 points, which is great. It's also beating a team who plays a very different way. They're not going to pass out from the back like Brighton. That's not what Dyche does. And they're not going to play on the halfway line and try and press us high up the pitch and dominate us like Liverpool. So it'll be a very different type of win, which again will be another feather in the cap of the team and the manager. Is there a concern that this could be similar to Ten Hag's first season, where we did well on the account of Chelsea and Liverpool underperforming? Concern is a second season drop-off like Ten Hag. Look, I think the great thing about football is, and what has opened up, I was having this conversation with somebody today, actually. If Chelsea had won at the weekend, and Liverpool had won at the weekend, and Man City had won at the weekend, then our league position wouldn't be as good as it is. I don't know whether we'd be 8th, but we wouldn't be as excited about a new era and our United back, because we'd be going, okay, we beat Liverpool, we beat Chelsea, but look at them, they're being very consistent. So I do agree with you on what you're saying, the Beast, in the sense that we have won 3 games in a row and we do look very good. But also, outside of that, the great thing about football is that a lot of results have gone our way as well. An opportunity has presented itself that I think I remember talking about this in the summer, and even if we start winning more games like we are, doesn't mean that Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal are going to stop winning games. So or Newcastle or Villa. So how do you get in the top 5? But what's happened is Newcastle have not had a very good start, Villa have not had a very good start, and now Chelsea and Liverpool and Man City have not had a very good start. So we're winning them games more than we were, and also others have dropped off at the moment. So I don't think it's going to be like Ten Hag's first season, because other people are underperforming, because consistency is the key for United. Don't worry about everybody else. And also, let's not forget, it's not like we're second. There's still teams ahead of us. Spurs, Bournemouth, Man City are actually still ahead of us as well. But we can only take care of ourselves. But there are opportunities presenting themselves this season based on inconsistent underperformance from others as well. Mark, have you seen much of Kevin Filling and seen some stuff today that we're in for them? I spoke about it this morning, Callum. I don't really know much about it. But, you know, as I said, signing young players, we need to do it because you might unearth a gem that becomes a senior player in the future. We need a midfielder like Sabari from PSV, says Abdullah. Mark, remember, we all ridiculed Team Fitness News. We all owe an apology to Team. This is the fittest side, which is helping our players to press, says DV. I don't owe an apology to anybody. What are you talking about? I don't want to get irritated, but I am. And I don't know whether you're rage baiting, but you are. What bollocks are you... there's nothing I dislike more than somebody sanctimoniously coming into this community and telling us we all need to apologise. There is nothing that makes me want to apologise less than somebody telling me I need to apologise. If I need to apologise, I'll do it. I'm happy to do it. We were talking about this last night about Amorim and how, even though I don't like Dyche at left wing back and I don't like Bruno in the midfield, he's right. We've won 3 games in a row and they're in his best 11. So, you know, Amorim is right. We are wrong. Mainu shouldn't be in the team. Bruno should be in the team. Dorgo shouldn't be in the team. Dyche should be in the team because the last 3 games, Dyche's played left wing back and we've won 3 games. So we're wrong. At the moment, we're wrong. And Amorim is right. But I am not apologising to our fitness team. We've had loads of injuries this season. Absolutely bloody loads. Maguire's injured now, you prat. We've had loads of injuries. And what are you talking about, this being the fittest side ever? It's a piece of piss to be fit when you're only training 1 game a week. The reason we're fit and fresh is because we're playing 1 bloody game a week, mate. These lads are like... It's like going on a bloody lads holiday to Magaluf, but you can't have any action. They're revved up to the limits by the time they get home. You know, 1 week away and they're not playing. You know, they're ready to go. They're naturally ready to go. This is not some fitness revolution at Carrington. They're playing 1 game a week. Of course they're ready to go and of course they're bloody fit. I tell you what, if we were in Europe, you'd see the truth. They wouldn't be able to deal with it. You know what, mate? These players are still these players. You don't give them a bloody pint of Huel and everything's okay. It's 1 game a week. And that's why they're fit and that's why they're running around well. It's got nothing to do with the fitness department. We're still picking up injuries. And also, if you think I'm apologising to our fitness department that's been shit for years based on 3 wins in a row in a month, I mean, that's the definition of naivety. Absolutely not. I'm not apologising. And neither should any of you. This was meant to be his first season, says Cunha. Yeah, I love your name. Probably missed this. I've done that one as well. Tried to do a whole show. I've done that one as well. Okay, some great comments coming in tonight. Love the 8 o'clock show. And thank you very much for the person who got me revved up. That's what we're all here to do. Right, I want to read you this, though. There's a lot of stuff coming in today. Some people might say spin, PR. I don't necessarily think it is. But it is coming in from a lot of different sources. So let's just read some of where it's coming in from. So you've got you've got Pete Hall, who writes for Reuters, Sky Sports, iPaper. The new INEOS-led culture ensures everyone gets on with everyone. Nobody is left out of social events with unlikely bromances forming. Xerxes and Bruno have become close ever since bonding on the club's much-maligned post-season tour of Malaysia and Hong Kong. Cunha and Luke Shaw, hardly typical bedfellows, have struck up a strong relationship, while Dyche and Sesko are seen spending more and more time together. Dyche helping the new rival with his preparation and recovery, one source added. I mean, is this a synopsis for the new season of Love Island, or is this Manchester United? But on a serious note, I mean, look, it's good if everybody gets on. The question would be, why couldn't they get on before? You're telling me that Ruben Amorim walked in and INEOS walked in and says, you're all going to get on. Why didn't we figure that one out before? But look, it's good to know. And then this has come out as well, that Manchester United sources say Bruno Fernandes has been incremental to helping Cunha handle the pressures of being a United player. The duo spend hours doing extra sessions whilst working on free kicks and set pieces, and Bruno's guidance has helped Cunha improve his emotional control and confidence, especially during recent frustrations with injury. Well, I personally think if you were an emotional player and you wanted to get advice from anybody, the best person you can go to is the most unpetulant, player in the Man United squad, the player that doesn't show his frustrations, doesn't flap around more than an octopus hailing a taxi, if there's one player you'd go to control your emotions on a football pitch, I absolutely agree it would be Bruno Fernandes, because he has never shown frustration or petulance or any of those traits ever. So I absolutely agree and believe that this story is true. It's like getting anger management classes from Roy Keane. It's perfect. But look, I think ultimately what we've probably had today is a bit of a brief, a bit of a PR brief, a bit of positivity, and we can't knock that the players are getting on. That the players are getting on really well under Ruben Amorim, and you know what? I'm all for it. Sarcasm aside, I'm all for it, because I might shock you here, but I am all for this. It puts a smile on my face, because you know why it puts a smile on my face? Because as somebody that genuinely hates it when we beat Lyon in an amazing result and then we lose to Wolves 2 days later in a meaningless cup game and people are going from Amorim in to Amorim out, I can't stand the pile-on of negativity when things go wrong. So why should we not do a positivity pile-on when things go right? It's almost balance, isn't it? We lose a game, Amorim out, leaks from the dressing room, they don't like the training, Glasner's going to take the job, we get all that bollocks. We win games, everybody gets on really well. They're loving the tactics, they're having bromances, they're hanging around playing PS. I like it, because it's like it's the balance to the force, isn't it? When things go wrong, dressing room leaks, don't like training, don't like each other, want a new manager. When things go right, I think it's right that we get stories of positivity and everybody's getting on, because it's only fair. So I really don't mind it, and you know it just feeds into the positive vibe that we need to hopefully try and keep hold of at the moment. One other interesting thing as well came out. Sam C wrote this: Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim has started to include more and more youth players in his first team training sessions in recent weeks. The Red Devils boss made a clear effort to integrate several academy prospects into the senior setup at Carrington as he looks to rebuild the pathway between the Old Trafford Giants Academy and first team, a link many felt had weakened in recent years. I mean, that's a load of bollocks, by the way. I don't think we need to add that in, whoever this source is. That's an absolute load of bollocks. Like, if anything, people were starting to get concerned that Amorim is not the guy to promote youth, because we're not seeing a lot of it. So you can't say Amorim is letting loads of youngsters train with the first team as he tries to improve the link between the first team and the youth team, because he's not actually blooding any youngsters. So it's encouraging to hear this, and it is positive, but let's not shit on the past for everything. You know, Mourinho took us to second, Ollie took us to second, Ten Hag won back-to-back trophies with the Glazers in charge. Not everything in the past was evil. A lot of it was because of the Glazers. And when you look at Ollie and Ten Hag, they did promote youngsters. You know, there's lots of youngsters that have come through United in the last few years. It may not have ended the way it wanted to, but we have been very good at promoting youth over the last few years. So let's not pretend that, we've neglected the academy, because we haven't. That's a piss take to people like Nicky Butt, whose job was to do this, and who left the club because he wasn't happy with what was going on. So I think that's a really important thing as well, to just say that, look, it's great that we're giving youngsters the opportunity to train with the first team, but let's not pretend that we weren't doing that in the first place. Where do you think the likes of Rashford and Garnacho and Brandon Williams and Mainu and all these other players that have been given chances over the years are there? Somebody just said there's some breaking news. I can't see any breaking news anywhere at the moment, so you know, I'm just having a quick look, but a couple of people have said it and I can't actually see any. This was just on the stadium. It's an indication that the work on a $2 billion rebuild of Old Trafford won't be starting anytime soon, that the team officially mandated to oversee this is now busy designing the new San Siro. Foster's with discussions with Birmingham City at one point about the new, but it was felt their priorities were too focused elsewhere. Okay, I mean, that's not really breaking news, is it, to be fair? Okay. Malacia's back. I mean, I tell you what. Just look, we can talk about anything here. I don't know, in an analogy sense, I don't know. There must be a really clever, good analogy, and I am very good at them, but I'm struggling to think of one that describes the return of Malacia to Manchester United with a smiley face and working hard in training. It's a little bit like, when you're hungry and you go in the cereal and all you've got is Rice Krispies, or you go in the biscuit tin and all that's left is a rich tea. I'm just not excited about it. Sometimes, in fact, sometimes when I go in the biscuit tin and there's only rich tea left, I'd rather there was nothing. I'd rather go hungry, And that's not me digging out Malacia, but I just don't find it exciting at all. I find Dorgu and Leon exciting. I find Luke Shaw, rolling back the clock as a left wing back exciting. I do not find Malacia back smiling and working hard in training exciting. You know what I think? Nobody bloody wanted him. That's what I think. I call bullshit. I think you've got a player that you can't get rid of, so your only choice is to try and put him in the shop window by getting him training with the first team. He ain't good enough. He just forget the injuries. He's just not very good. He's just not very good. He went on loan to PSV. They didn't want him. Nobody wanted him. He was part of the bomb squad. We got rid of everybody apart from him. And now he's working really hard in training. And we're meant to go, oh, Malacia's back. And I'm like, I couldn't be more unexcited. I really couldn't. Yeah, rich tea biscuit. But Kaiser says, Mark, you're so bitter. No, I'm not bitter. I'm real. I'm real. That's what I am. And I applaud myself. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Well done, me, for being real and having the honesty, integrity, and bravery to actually say what I bloody think without being offensive. I'm not slagging him off. I'm not being abusive. I'm just saying I found the Malacia return to the first team about as exciting as a cold bath that every one of you has been in before me. I just don't find it exciting. I'm sorry. In a time where I'm massively excited about Manchester United, I do not find it exciting. And don't anybody say the words, we owe him an apology, or he's like a new signing. So the club sale was a load of bollocks, wasn't it, says Visco. Mate, you know what? If we'd lost the last 2 games, I guarantee we'd have stories about the sale of Man United. But as soon as you start winning games, or you buy a player, Glazer out disappears. Wake up and smell the Maxwell House coffee. Because, I tell you what, we should be sponsored by a coffee. I'd like that. I'd like to be sponsored by a coffee brand that delivers me a coffee every morning. And one day I go, gingerbread latte. Hazelnut syrup. That'd be great. But no, wake up and smell the coffee, mate. Glazer out. Glazer out. Glazer out. Oh, we've just signed a player. We're cooking. Sell the club. We've won 3 games in a row. We're back. Welcome to Manchester United. So yeah, that's why there's no sale talk, because we're winning games. Let's also not forget we've had the toughest start to the season. So, oh God, here we go. Yusuf, I already gave plenty of good reasons why it can be the start of the Amorim era, but I do not agree with we've had the toughest start to the season. I don't think we've had the toughest start to the season at all. I really don't, because I think the Premier League will bite you in the arse the minute you think we're going to have a... So what you're saying, Yusuf, we've had a really tough start to the season, and now we're on easy street. I don't think so. I personally think Forest away, Spurs away, Everton at home and Crystal Palace away is as tough as Arsenal at home, Fulham away, Burnley at home and Man City away. I think every 4 games in the Premier League at the moment, you can sort of go, are a challenge. We must not take our eye off. We must not talk in that sense. Ruben Amorim would hate it. We must not talk about tough starts to the season, because that can get into the psyche. Every game's tough. And also, Yusuf, our problem over the last decade has not been looking at, oh, we've got Man City and Chelsea back to back. Our problem's been we've got Bournemouth and Brighton back-to-back. So I think we'll learn a lot more about us in the next 4 games than we probably will in the last 4, even though on paper they might have been harder. Celtic and Rangers struggling in Scotland and Bournemouth and Sunderland in the top 4 in the Prem. Seems the year for us to surely do something, Mark, says Ross McRae Magician. If you'd said to me at the start of the season that Man United could be in a race for top 4, I would have said that's build a trophy, that's build a statue time for Amorim. That's miraculous. You know, that's wizardry. But you're right, there's something weird going on at the moment. I love what's happening in Scotland with Hearts. You know, in the Bundesliga, you've got teams like Cologne and Stuttgart doing really well as well. And, you know, in the Premier League, we've got Sunderland and Bournemouth in the top 4 and Man United in the top 6. And I don't, you know, obviously we're a bigger club than Sunderland and Bournemouth, but it just feels like anything's possible at the moment. And look, I'm not going to say it in any depth again, but if Man City and Liverpool and Chelsea cannot challenge Liverpool for the Arsenal for the title, why can't we be second? I don't think we can challenge anybody for the title, but why can't we be second? Why not aim for the stars and you might hit the clouds, you know? I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that I'm convinced we'll beat Forest on Saturday. Why can't we go and beat Spurs? Then I'd expect us to beat Everton. And then you've won 6 games in a row. Why can't you go to Selhurst Park and win? Confidence breeds wins. You know, you go and win the next 4. Forget the last 3. You go and win the next 4. 7 wins in a row. That's not top 4 form. That's title challenging form. So I think that, you know, dare to dream. Dare to dream. And I don't want to put those demands on. I've seen people doing this, and I think it's bang out of order. In fact, I think they're Amorim outers trying to set standards that are ridiculous so that when we don't hit them, they can still say Amorim out. It's what the Arteta out crew do now. There is still Arteta out. There's still Arteta out there, yeah? And they talk about finishing second as failure. And yet they were Arteta out because they were 8th. So Arteta out because he's 8th and you're playing shit. Arteta out because you're second and you've not won the title. So I'd be very wary of those people who start setting ridiculous targets because they're Amorim out and they're setting it high so they can win again. I think as a supporter of Amorim, as many of you are, I still think 5th place is a very good season for us. We mustn't run away with targets just because we've won 3 games. Remember what you said at the start of the season. This was the first season in Premier League history where I've not put us in the top 4. Even last year when we finished 15th, at the start of the season, I was like top 4. So it's the first season where I didn't put us in the top 4. I'm not about to change it now to put some, you know, it's like moving you know, it's like saying to, it's like going out for a few drinks with the lads and your missus saying, you know, I want you in by midnight. And you go, fine, I will be. And then you're out there at 10:30 and she says, I want you in at 11. You know, you're moving the goalposts there, aren't you? You're moving the goalposts. So we can't move the goalposts. And if you said Man United need to challenge for the title at the start of the season, you know, I think you needed to be seen by your doctor. And if you're saying it now, I think you need to see your doctor because it's not fair. But what I would say is there any reason why we couldn't aim for that? Because things present themselves. But I still think if we can get into the top 4, it would be amazing. And I'm looking at 5th still. I think 5th would be great. To be fair, I would ask Keane about anger, not management, says Swami. Insert analogy here with the Bruno story, says Nick P. And what do you think of Mainu getting 0 game time, says Aya. Well, again, another story coming out tonight that United will not sell Xerxes and Mainu because they plan to use them in the AFCON. No, they're not going to use them in the AFCON, but, you know, when our players go to the AFCON. And I was looking at this, and somebody posted something today about the games that we would miss Ahmad, Mbeumo, and Mazraoui. And I don't count Man City and Arsenal. So Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Leeds away, and Burnley away. if they get to the final, Ivory Coast or Morocco or Cameroon, then they might miss Man City and Arsenal. But I don't think we need to worry about that too much. Certainly not all three of them. So basically, Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away. We're going to miss Ahmad and Mbeumo and Mazraoui. Do I think that Mainu and Xerxes are going to have a big impact on those games? I mean, if I was going to Aston Villa away, would I change my midfield too because I'm missing a right wing back and a number 10? That's 3 changes then. If my best 11 is Lemens, Ahmad, Delo, Delit, Yoro, Shaw, Bruno, Casemiro, Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko, and I'm playing Villa away and I haven't got Mbeumo and Ahmad, I need to replace a number 10 and a right wing back. Would I move Bruno as well and make 3 changes? Because people don't realise that. Like when we put Maguire in the team for Yoro, we're not making 1 change, we're making 2 because we shift Delo from the centre to right and we put Maguire there. So it's 2 changes because it's 2 different positions. So I think that in that Villa game, if everybody's fit, I'd just put Mount with Cunha. That replaces Mbeumo. I'd put... well, I'd have to make a change anyway because I'd have to move Delo across, which is another change, to put Dorgu in at left wing back. So that's 3 changes to a team. If I move Bruno away, that's 4, nearly half the changes. So maybe they'll get some minutes off the bench, but unless we get injuries, I don't actually think the AFCON automatically gets Mainu into the team or Xerxes into the team. I still think there'd be other players. Obviously, if Mount's injured, then Xerxes maybe does come in as a 10 because you lose 2 10s in Ahmad and Mbeumo. But I look at those fixtures and it's interesting because December's quite a good month for us fixtures-wise. You've got Wolves at home in there. You've got Burnley away. Leeds away will be tough. Leeds away will be a tough game, to be fair. That will be tough because it's Leeds. Villa away will be tough and Newcastle at home. I mean, this is what I mean about Yusuf. I wasn't being offensive. I'm just saying, like, I look at those games and I go, they're massively winnable, but they're also massively droppable points, aren't they? Villa away, Newcastle at home, Wolves at home. I think Wolves at home is easy 3 points, to be respectful. Leeds away will be tough. Burnley away, you'd expect to win, but you just don't know. You just don't know. Burnley are not in the bottom 3. But look, some people are very worried about the AFCON. I think, as far as I'm concerned, would you seriously not have bought Mbeumo just because he's going to miss a month? I think you have to. Yeah. Brutus says Leeds and Villa are easy for Amorim. Why? But look, other teams will be in that position as well, won't they? Just before I read some more of your comments, I really, this might be a personal venture here, but I really did want to draw attention to this. So Chris Wheeler was talking about Man United players, and the club itself was said to be delighted with the increased number of flags in the Stretford end as seen in Saturday's game against Brighton, and said it helped increase the atmosphere. United have agreed to expand the area in which flags are displayed. I don't take any credit for this, and if I did, I would give it to those who watch the Bundesliga on That's Football on Friday night, where we have a live match. Like the United Stand community, That's Football is your sister, your brother. You're the same thing. An amazing, massive community of people that, you know, are massively engaged in something they really care about. And That's Football has been fortunate enough because of that to be given Bundesliga TV rights and highlights packages this season. And I know about the Bundesliga, and I'm sure some of you do as well. But how it's educated me on how crap it is in this country for atmosphere in the grounds, officiating, etc. It's been a real eye-opener. I can't underestimate how proud I am of Manchester United Football Club and our brilliant matchday support anyway. But what I saw against Brighton on Saturday, it gave me goosebumps. And people will say, oh, you're going over the top. Oh, I see these Bundesliga games every Friday night now, and whoever it is, it doesn't matter. The atmospheres are incredible. They're just different. And the flags, it's amazing. And it puts the Premier League to shame. And I don't think that's because of the fans we have. I think it's the limitations and restrictions that the Premier League puts on fans. It's unbelievable. And it's like it in other European leagues as well. So to see the Stretford end with all those flags on Saturday was just incredible. And I think other clubs will start doing it as well. And I think this could be a moment. It could be a moment that Man United lead on where we actually start to improve the atmospheres in our Premier League grounds. And it's great to see Manchester United and the Stretford end leading on that. And it's great to see Man United and the players appreciating that. Because I tell you what, there ain't no doubt in my mind that if you are a player and you have an atmosphere like that and you see that, what do you think is going to inspire you and make you play better? Looking behind a goal and seeing flags and an atmosphere, or looking behind a goal and seeing everybody sat down, cheering, but they're sat down with no flags. It gives it automatically gives an aura to it. I think it's great. And some people will say, oh, it makes no fucking difference. What are you talking about? And I tell you what, I think it makes a massive difference. And I think if we're at the forefront of this, doing this, it's great. Until some woke prat, PC prat, starts saying, I can't see because of the flags. One of the flags fell on my head and I could have suffocated. So, let's just hope that common sense continues and we're allowed to keep doing it. Because I think these sort of things are things we should be talking about, because it was so impressive and it could be better than that. I want to see safe standing as well. I want to see, like you see in the Bundesliga, somebody at the front with the microphone getting the crowd going. Look, I watched Frankfurt against Liverpool last Wednesday, and they were losing 5-1, and they were all holding flags up. They were all still singing. It's just brilliant. But of course, we probably never will get that because of people like Sir Jim Radcliffe and Todd Bowley and FSG and the Glazers, because the club ownership is shit in this country. A lot of that passion, especially in the Bundesliga, comes from the fact that they own 50% of the club, and that makes them feel more part of it. But it's a start. It is a start. And I'd love to think that one day we could get to that where clubs are half owned by their fans. I don't think we'll ever get that, but it would be great. I would play Dorgu at right wing back because he's left footed, says Terp. In July, we'll get Christian Orozco from Colombia, says Big Savvy. I back Amorim still a long way, but it's positive, says Daniel. Do we not have an FA Cup game in January, says Mrs. Stone? We do. Do you think that... they probably missed the FA Cup game as well. Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you think the title in 2028 talk from the board seems more realistic after what's happening at the minute? They also said squad should get into Europe. I know what you're talking about, LMP. I think this is a good point for the chat. So basically, LMP is talking about Project 28 and this rumour that Sir Jim Radcliffe thinks this squad is good enough to get into Europe. I call bullshit. I don't think they know anything more about football than you do. And most of you were saying that's bullshit. So I think at the moment, they're lucky. I think they never could have foreseen that Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City would be bad and open up the door for us to be good. So circumstances can change. It's a roll of a dice. And that's, to me, is why a football club should never be run like a business. This is an entertainment sport and anything can happen at any time. Look at last weekend. We win and all our rivals lose. So I don't think they could have sat there in a boardroom with an Excel spreadsheet and projected with a calculator that we were going to be in the top 4 this season and win the title in 28. It's impossible to do that. They're very lucky if they predicted that. And I still think it would take a hell of a lot of work for us to get top 4 and win the title in 28. But we've got to build on this positivity, of course. Do you think that we need Champions League and that 100 million, says Mrs. Stone? Emily Derry says, we've played ourselves into an opportunity to challenge for Europe. Now we have to take it. And taking opportunities is one area where we struggle. Well, yeah, I mean, can this last? Which I think it says on the thumbnail. I think this has to be the start of something. And I'm very keen that we to all the people who talk about a win ratio of lower than 40%, I think all of us that want this to work and want it to be the start of something should say, yeah, but this season his win ratio is 55%. Just get into the argument. To all these bloody media outlets or Amorim outers who say he's got a win ratio of below 40%, just say, yeah, but when he had a pre-season and the players he wanted, his win ratio is 55%. Just argue with them. No one's going to win, but it makes you feel better. And I think we have got an opportunity now in front of us, as Emily said. But what we've also got to be careful about, to coin a football analogy, in a game against your rivals, you can score too early. For example, if you're the underdog against, I don't know, PSG, and you score in the second minute, doesn't mean you're going to win the game by the time it hits 90. You might lose 6-1. So I would use that in relation to United at the moment. We are basically in the race for Champions League at the moment, but it is only October. Doesn't mean we're going to be there at Christmas, doesn't mean we're going to be there at April, and that's what we need to work on. Part of the prize is getting there. The hardest bit is staying there. And that brings its own pressure, because if we get into touching distance of top 4, and then we drop down to 10th again, I think that pisses people off way more than being 9th, 8th, 7th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 7th, gradually getting there. We've got to take it one game at a time, like Camlish says. But now we're there, we've also got to sustain it. We've got to sustain this level of performance and stay there. And that's the challenge, Once you're at the top of the mountain, can you stay there when all the wind and weather is blowing at you, or do you fall back down again? And we've got to hold our position. For so long, United have been one step forward, two step back, and we have to be one step forward, and not slip. And that's a challenging itself. And I said this the other day, didn't I, about Solskjaer when he got the job. Mourinho was miles off top 4. That's why he got the sack after the Liverpool game. Ollie came in, ridiculous win ratio. Took us right back to top 4 in March, and then we fell off in April. And it was like, what was all that about, Any news on Mazraoui's injury? Well, he was on the bench, Tom, at the weekend, so I think he's fine. He's just not in the team. Garfield has done a unicorn. Thank you, Garfield. Hope you're doing well. You should try Atlas Coffee Club. They deliver a new set of coffee grounds every month, says Mrs. Stone. Evening Mark and Legends. Journalist painting Carrington like a shrink/therapy centre is just a meme in the making. Jokes. Hope we win this weekend. We're winning this weekend. You heard it here first. Thank you, Tom Grant, for your super chat. So the club sale was a load of bollocks, wasn't it, says Visco. Yeah, spoke about that. Thank you very much. I'm just catching up on those who've given super chats. Then I'm going to come back to the normal chat. At the end of the day, we all love our clubs, says Pete Jones. And thank you very much, Pete. Hope you're doing well. And Norfolk Ian says, I hope you don't mind me asking this. I turn 16 tomorrow. Do you have any advice on how to go about this year? Thanks so much, Mark. All the best. Well, you're in GCSE year, mate. And when my daughter was in GCSE year, I said this. You've got your whole life ahead of you, hopefully. And the reason I say that is not for comedic effect. It's because, I saw Kevin Costner saying this when he was 70. It's another year where I thank the sun for giving, moon or whatever bollocks he was talking about. But basically, every year is a gift. Every day is a gift. And you must never forget that. But I think in your 16th year, if you're in the UK, it's GCSE year. And you've got loads of years in front of you to piss about and, go out with your mates and play computer games and everything like that. You've got this year to study and work hard and apply yourself. And that's what you should do. And that's not just your schoolwork. You might be playing football. You might be doing something else as well. But my advice to anybody at that age would be don't do what I did, which is basically go down the park playing football with your mates, focus on your football teams, and leave your study on the wayside. I regret that. Well, I don't regret it, actually. But if I was 16 again, I'd do it differently because I know what I did do didn't really make a lot of difference. The flags are 100% down to someone at United watching That's Football. Why didn't they do it last season or the season before, says Nick P. Oh, I mean, mate, I think that's a bit tongue-in-cheek. I think we underestimate the brilliance of our fans. And I'm sure it's something they've wanted to do for a very long time. Maybe somebody at Man United has seen it and realised that the Premier League is dying a death in relation to officiating and atmosphere. It's become very bland. Not just at Old Trafford, but at Anfield, a lot of people have said, you know, you can go there and sometimes you can hear a pin drop. But there are amazing people in our fan base, Red Army and etc., who are desperate to maintain an atmosphere at Manchester United. And that atmosphere can be developed not just by singing, but by holding up flags. You know, it's just an easy win. And their battle, I don't know anything about it, but I imagine their battle would have been to get the club to allow them to do it. That would be the battle. And I bet they would have loved to have been doing it for longer. Thank you very much for that. Pete Jones has just gifted 10 memberships. You're an absolute legend, Pete. Thank you very much. And make sure you say thank you if you got one. Agrim says, just here to ask how you've been. Really appreciate your work. We're winning the lot, says Agrim. Really good. Really good. It's really busy this week. I'm in the final sort of, I mean, I don't think people understand why it's taken, you know, over 2 months of me being sat in my spare bedroom doing the morning show whilst we do this building project in the kitchen. But like anybody who knows anything about building, when you're knocking walls down and opening things up and putting underfloor heating in and, you know, using multiple different people, you know, a week delay can turn into 2 weeks, etc. So it's been a busy, it's a busy week this week because it's the final week and there's all sorts of people. There's painting, there's door frame people, there's, you know, granite surface for the bloody kitchen, and that's been delayed a week. So we were hoping to be done on Friday and now it's already gone back to next Wednesday. So yeah, just I'll be very happy when it's done so I can start doing my morning shows back in here again. But yeah, thanks for asking. And I'm very aware that some people are part of this community for the morning show and the evening show and the afternoon show, and you notice that it's different. So yeah, I was meant to. My point was I was meant to do the career mode today, and people moan, "Oh, you said." I didn't say I was going to do it. I was going to try and do it. There was absolutely no way I could have done the career mode today. We were working on stuff until like 7 o'clock tonight. So yeah, bit of a project manager bridge at the moment, trying to manage things and move things around. You know, one of the biggest problems I've got at the moment is I found a fridge freezer that I wanted, and the kitchen units are in. And these little life problems are just take up so much time. So the fridge freezer that Mrs. wanted is 73 centimetres depth. But the work surface, the cabinets are 65 depth. So that's an 8 centimetre overhang of the fridge. It's just too much. It just looks a bit silly. So now we're trying to find a fridge to go in that space. And we have the same thing with the dishwasher. So it's just like all these things. But no, thanks for asking. I bet you wish you didn't now. We need to overpay for who we want in January in the midfielders, Malik. Mate, I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it twice. I'm going to say it 3 times. Get Conor Gallagher in the January transfer window. If it doesn't work out, send him back. But get him on a loan to buy, whatever. Pay his wages. Put him in the window. People say Atletico Madrid won't do it. They bloody will. They will love Conor Gallagher to come into the Premier League, playing for Man United between now and the summer, and then be able to get a fee for him. They will love to do that. We're not going to get one of our main targets in the summer, so go and do that. Definitely go and do that. Are you interested in Football Manager career mode, says Daniel? I am, but there's no point pretending I'm going to be doing it at the moment. But we have got the charity stream coming up. I mean, I do need to really whack people. No, I don't need to whack people. I do need people to whack it in their diary. Amongst being mad busy over the last month, this will happen. The international break, the middle Saturday. I think Eubank is fighting Ben as well, which is brilliant because we can watch that whilst doing the charity stream on the evening. We've done it every year for the last 5 years. I forget the date. Somebody in the chat will put it in there. It's like the middle of November. All-day charity stream on That's Football. We raised 50 grand last year and the year before. I don't know how we do this. And It doesn't panic me because if we raise 15 grand, it's brilliant. But yeah, tune in for that. Seb's ready to go. It's the only stream he really does now. He's ready to go. He says, can I have half an hour while you eat, just streaming and playing games? And I was like, yeah, within reason. I'll have to monitor the live chat. But yeah, don't forget to put that in. It's the 16th or the 15th, something like that. Carlson says, if Liverpool lose next match, Slot would tie with Pereira for the biggest loss streak by any of today's Premier League managers. That's Liverpool's problem, mate. You know, as long as we win, I don't really care. It's the 15th of November, says Matt, our moderator, who I know I can trust, and loads of people are saying it now. Yeah, really looking forward to it. I won Fortnite the year before. It's 2 years ago, Lee. I normally play a bit of Fall Guys, a bit of Draft. We've got some really good stuff actually planned this year as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Do you think Dyche ball's going to cause us a problem on Saturday? Malik says we need to sign more quality wing-backs for competition as well. Do I think Dyche is going to cause us a problem on Saturday? I'm excited about it because it's his first home game and they're in the bottom three and they're a decent team, but they're not the team of last year, and we should have beat them last year. Like, when they were decent last year, we should have beat them. They scored early and parked the bus. They're not good this year, and they'll still park the bloody bus. We'll beat them. We'll beat them. We'll score first. They'll open up. We'll score again, and then they'll shut up shop so they don't get embarrassed. I'm going 2-0 United. I think we'll beat them comfortably. When's the next cooking/driving with Goldbridge in the new car? Says Tom. Mate, I was going to do the first cooking with Goldbridge in the new kitchen next week, and as soon as this project's over, I'll get in the bloody car and do it. 100%. Yeah, love to do it. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We've sort of combined again a little bit of an after show at the end, which is brilliant. Loving these 8 o'clock shows, although the morning show this morning was very good. It was very good, I'm not going to lie. But the shows are brilliant at the moment. And I love the fact that there's a lot of positivity, but there's still a lot of questions being asked as well. And I do think the question does need to be posed. Are we actually just going to focus on this season and bury this nonsense about a win ratio below 40%? I think there's so much context to why we need to ignore last season and focus on this season, or at least be more balanced, because his win ratio this season is ridiculously high. It's 56%. That's more than Ollie and Ten Hag had. But then his one last year is really low. So I just think bury that, focus on the now. And the good question is, how long is this positivity going to last? Are we back? Are we going to fight for top 4? And I think, again, there's so much context to that. I just agree with what everybody is saying in the chat. We've just got to take it game by game, and that's why last week it was all about talking about Brighton, and this week it's all about talking about Nottingham Forest. I'm not hearing people talk about Spurs, and that's right. Every game, I remember having this conversation in the summer. The great thing about this season is every game is a cup final, and every game we should scrutinise and analyse and nothing else. So last week it was all about Brighton. This week it's all about Forest. Next week it's all about Spurs. We've got the time to do that. And so's Amorim. And so have the players. And we just need to treat every game like a cup final. And I think it's easy to do. It's really easy to do because these players are revved up to play games. As I say, if they were playing in the Carabao Cup tonight or tomorrow night, they're not thinking about Forest yet. If they're thinking of, if they're playing in Europe next week, they're not thinking about Spurs yet. We can really take advantage of this. I would urge you to look at Brendan Rodgers' Liverpool season, the year of Slippy G. They did exactly what we can do now. And people, out of nowhere, they nearly won the bloody league. And nobody expected it because they were playing one game a week and they were tactically ready for every game. And I think we've got a great opportunity to do that. I really think we can kick on. Like you said at the start of the season, after about game 10, our league position could be down to whether we go on a good run starting now. Exactly. Thank you. Great stuff, everybody. Really appreciate your company on the live chat. If you're not watching live, don't forget to leave your comments as well. The year of Slippy G. Well, I can't think of any way of putting it. Who won the league that year? I think it was City, wasn't it? Yeah. The Slippy G season. That's it. Thanks everyone for watching. Toxic positivity, Mark, says Marv. Mate, look, Amorim outers are welcome here. I actually want Amorim outers in here telling us how they feel. You're not going to get castigated or put down. You know, you had a very, very valid argument a few weeks ago. You're still very welcome. It's just a lot of them don't want to say anything. And I think you should. You know, it's a community, good and bad. Truth. Speak to you all in a bit. Take care. Thanks for watching. And there Rich says Amorim out. Give us more. Thanks for watching. Take care.